Yo, what's up? It's your boy Grandma Cookies. Checking out a video, and today I want to talk about something a little different from what I usually do. And I want to talk about world building inside of TV shows, anime, manga, whatever you want to say. And with world building, I wanted to talk about it because I think world building is such an important factor when it comes to making a good show and actually making your show actually good and adding longevity to your show, because there's a lot of different shows that do the world building very good and end up go on to be very good shows, like One Piece. Early on, Oda, he did the world building. He set up the world building very good. So later down the line, now where we at in One Piece, it's like one of the best anime of all time, or manga of all time, because he set up the world building perfect to the point where it's very interesting. People want to read it. And that's kind of like I said, that's kind of what I want to talk about. And what is world building anyway? And I say, if you wanted to get like a simple definition of what world building is, I'll probably say it's just a simple question: is your world still interesting without the main cast of characters? And if you can answer yes to that question, then you have a good world building novel, whatever you're trying to do. You have good world building, because like I said, even if, like, I'm gonna be using One Piece as a good example all the time, because One Piece is like such a good does perfectly when it comes to world building. So yeah, and like I said, world building, if you take the Straw Hats out of One Piece is still an interesting universe. You have the Marines, you have the Revolutionary Army, you have the Celestial Dragons, you have all these powers clashing against each other constantly and creating fiction in the world. And you also got good different characters that are very good. Like, you got the 3 admirals, well, the 5 admirals, you got the Yonko, you have all these, you got all the Supernova, you have all these characters that are building this world, and all those characters are interesting. And I'm pretty sure the fan base wouldn't mind a story, like more of them, other than more of their story than the Straw Hat story. That's how you know it's a good world building. So yeah, like I said, world building is just pretty much, it's just like I said, it's a simple question: is your world still very interesting without the main cast of characters? And yeah, and like, what's the importance of world building, you may ask then. At that point, I say the importance of world building, I just pretty much explained it. I say one of the biggest things that goes a long way when it comes to setting up your world and making it very interesting is longevity. I think like I said, One Piece did this very good, but also Hunter x Hunter did this very well, where it set up a lot of different aspects of the world early on in the story. Like during the Hunter exams, we got introduced to a lot of different things. Like we got introduced to the Zodiac family. We got introduced to the Hunter Association, which is a big thing in and of itself. And then we got introduced to a lot of different other things, like the spiders, a lot of different things that would later on end up playing a big part in the story. And then also, I think, one other thing is that they did a good job at connecting all those together and creating a good story. And that's what I think the importance of it. Like I said, it's just you can increase your novel, whatever you can increase longevity of your work if you're able to get good world building in, because world building is pretty much everything. Once the story is over with, once you don't got epic fights and nothing like that, you need something to keep the viewer wanting to watch it. Like when you have to explain information, because even everybody hates info dumps, but they have to happen, because you wouldn't know nothing about the world if the author never explained nothing to you. So I say one other benefit of world building is if you're able to build your world, then the info dumps won't be as bad as they usually are. Because but I say one thing I could say is that Hunter x Hunter do got some bad info dumps. Like, you be reading it, and then you look at the thing, it'd be like a long line of text, and you got to read all that, and then the next page it's just one drawing of a figure, but then you got to read a bunch of words. So it can go either way. But but yeah, and then another thing is, how can you do good world building? And I say, like I said, a good way is just making sure you introduce a lot of good points early on in the story and figuring out a way to connect them all back together so it'll make it more so it can interconnect your world together, and that'll create the perfect world. Because like I said, even in One Piece, which I'm using for example once again, is like early on in the story, we got introduced to the warlords. We knew about the Marines. We even got introduced to a little of the Revolutionary Army. We had the warlords. We have all those, and then now all those things are interconnected. All those factions are fighting for power, and they're connected in some type of way, and that's how you can build a good world. And some of the like I said, some of the shows I want to talk about that has very good world building. Like I said, I've been talking about One Piece for the longest, but One Piece does have like very good world building. Like I said, early on in the story, Oda was able to introduce a bunch of different points in a bunch of different places and factions and places and people that later down the line he interconnected them all together, creating the world of One Piece we see today. And that's why I say One Piece is so good, because if you take the world building out of One Piece, you practically, the only thing you get is just really good fights and a very good story. And like I said, a very good story and fights, they can carry your novel or whatever you're trying to do a long way. But at some point, you're going to have to increase the longevity of your story, because if there's nothing in the world that's interesting, you cannot keep writing or doing whatever you're doing in that whatever. But yeah, I think another great example of world building, and it's a manga example, is Kingdom. Kingdom does a very good job at introducing characters, places. It expands the timeline. That's one other thing I forgot about. The timeline. Timeline plays a very important part too in world building, because the timeline gives you literally a kind of a visual of how the world is set up. And like One Piece has an expansive timeline. All these characters and stuff, they're all on a timeline. You're able to match up and make it make sense. And that's one thing I say that Kingdom does very well, is with timelines. They're able to make everything make sense. And also you have like the different powers fighting against each other constantly. You have Quinn, Zoe, you have Hen, you have all those different nations fighting against each other, trying to conquer land. And on top of that, you had each one of those states, they have interesting generals, interesting people inside of their armies, which makes the world even better. So like I said, they do a really good job at that. And then another show that does it very well, but it's not on the level of One Piece or Kingdom, is Naruto. I say the biggest thing with Naruto is its timeline. Its timeline is set up very good, even though it does have some plot holes in there here and there. But for the like most part, the Naruto timeline is like literally perfect. Like you can go through every event connect with other events and make it make sense. Like I said, like at the beginning. And that's one thing I said I liked about Naruto. It's the timeline. Like, you know what happened after Hashirama died, and then it was the second Great Ninja War, and then after that it was the third Great Ninja War, and it goes on from there. And the timeline is like very detailed, and like I said, the author was able to make it make sense. And I say some novels that I think some shows that I think have potential to reach like very good world building levels is probably Black Clover. I think Black Clover has a lot of potential when it comes to being able to build an interesting world, because you have mages, you have a bunch of different things that make sense, and you have a bunch of different characters, you have a bunch of different places, you have a bunch of different concepts. So it's like you can expand on it even more than what they have already did in the manga. And I think they can do way more with that, especially they can start introducing other nations and making that even more interesting. That'll even be better than, that'll make it so much better, in my opinion. That's what I think. And another one that's kind of, you could say, I say it's very good because it's so close to our modern day world, and that's My Hero Academia. And I say that it has a lot of potential to end up reaching the levels of One Piece one day. Like, I don't think it's gonna reach that level, but it has the potential to do it, and that's because it has a lot of different characters, it has a lot of different places, it has so many interesting things in the world that make it make sense, and that's why I think Black Clover and My Hero Academia was even able to be successful, is because the world building increased the longevity of the mangas, and they're able to go on, create more stories, create more interesting things that the readers want to read. Because like I said, if you don't got world building, you don't got longevity in your story. You cannot make your novel go 450, 500, 600 plus chapters. There's no way if you don't expand the world and make it interesting. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it for this video. I know I messed up a lot in this video, but I kind of wanted to talk about it because like when I be doing my anime reviews or novel reviews or manga reviews, usually one thing I personally like is world building. Like I said, world building is pretty much everything for me personally. Even I think world building to me is even more important than the characters themselves to a certain extent. Even though I think the story is more important, but still, I really do enjoy world building. That's kind of why I want to talk about this video, because I always talk about world building, and usually I think like a lot of people really don't even understand what I be talking about. And yeah, I kind of want to clear it up. Even though this video, I pretty much just rambled on, I still explained it to y'all how I was able to do it. And yeah, and that's it for the video. Hopefully you leave a like, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell if you want more content like this. I'm trying to upload 2 videos a week. Hopefully I can get 3 out this week. And yeah, man, it's your boy Grandma Cookies. Send them out.